The college football experience. James Franklin fired and Trent Bray fired episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Yes, play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with with the promo code TCE SGPN. So do that, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Brian Bosworth, aka The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Firing episode 3 coaches fired. James Franklin, Trent Bray, and Trent Dilfer. Bad day for Trent. But this is what they should be doing is bad day for me in a way. Well, good day because I get to talk football, but I thought I was going to have the day off after this, but all this news is coming. So let's pour ourselves a drink. And I'm sure these coaches are going to want to pour. I'm sure these athletic directors, some of them which might know that they're on the way out in the future. All this, I'm sure a lot of people having drinks out there. That's why you come in. That's why you come to the college football experience. A lot of people are out there having drinks. All right, we're hitting you with that hard shit. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swigga, Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, tailless pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
James Franklin may be telling the athletic director that. Trent Bray maybe too. Trent Dilfer, no. We'll talk about Dilfer too. I already made the set up the schedule for the show before the Dilfer news hit, but we got it in time. Shout out to the chat, youtube.com/the college experience. Yes. Shout out to Clark. Look, I got slides. I put together slides. I've been doing, I was just like, shit, we got big news. And we do. The biggest news I would say from the start would be that James Franklin is fired in State College. Shout out to Mac for calling him to be fired before Mike Norvell. Look, James Franklin, 128-60 in his career, and just 2 losing seasons in his career. 37-11 since 2022. 37-11 since 2022. That's tough. That's tough to be fired. I mean, the guy's had 2 losing seasons in his career. His first year at Vanderbilt, which he took him to a bowl, which was defined as a good season at that time, 6-7. Vandy doesn't go to bowls that often. And then the COVID year when they were 4-5. I mean, the guy has been fucking stellar. He's a winner through and through to a certain extent. He is canned. I was surprised. I thought they might give him another week or 2, or maybe toward the end of the season. But he's out. And wow, did the coaching world just take? Why is this one so big? It's because, well, first he's a successful coach, but also I think they would have their eyes on stealing another coach from another team. The chat's talking Kurt Cignetti, who the Cignetti one's interesting because he's from Pennsylvania. He's from Pittsburgh, so right there, that would make sense. But it's also weird because he played at West Virginia, which at one point was a main rival for Penn State. But at the same time, he did coach at Pitt and Temple. So, if he coached at Pitt and played for West Virginia, what's the difference? So I could see that actually. I would assume Indiana is just going to pay him so much money, and I would assume Penn State would not want to wait till after the playoffs, because we talked about this on the reaction show earlier this morning. I don't see Indiana. I don't see a world where Indiana's not in the college football playoffs. So to me, I don't think it'll be Cignetti. Now you can convince me that it could be Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule is one that played for Joe Paterno. Was a walk-on linebacker. Then he coached with them in 1998, just that year. But he also was at Temple, also at Buffalo. He's been at stops among the Northeast. He's raised up in the Northeast. So that is one that I've thought for the past couple of years. I feel like if Franklin ever left, that I was like, oh, they would call Rhule right away. I think the Matt Rhule one, if I had to set odds, would be the one that makes the most sense. I also think they might consider Al Golden. Do you remember Al Golden from Notre Dame last year? I know he was a bad head coach at Miami by definition, I think. What was he at? What was his record at Miami? I mean, yeah, he was actually 32-25. I mean, shit, that's it's kind of what a few other Miami coaches were. But he also coached at Temple. But this, if you know Al Golden, he played tight end at Penn State in the late 80s, early 90s, played for Joe Paterno. Also coached defense there in the early 2000s. Currently with the Cincinnati Bengals after being Notre Dame's defensive coordinator a year ago. I would wonder if they potentially call Al Golden, another one with ties, but I don't think I think Golden would have a better shot than Greg Schiano, who I know has ties to Penn State as well. He was on the defensive staff there, late 90s, early 2000s. Those three would be the first ones within the program. I think that, but I'd be pretty shocked if it was Schiano. I think Matt Rhule would be the first one that and who'd they name interim? Have they named interim? Did I not see this? But that is to me, this has potential to really just blow up the whole. Terry Smith is named interim head coach. Interesting that they didn't do Kotelnicki, who obviously was highly interviewed for the West Virginia job. Jim Knowles apparently had been talks with Oklahoma State. This seems like a disaster now. Ricky Ronnie to Penn State and brings ODU with them. That would be intriguing. That one I didn't even have on my board, Daquan, which makes sense. I know Manny Diaz. Some say Manny Diaz would make sense. Yeah. I mean, Manny Diaz. I would think you don't want someone from Franklin's staff personally, but Ricky Ronnie. Manny Diaz were on the staff. If I'm Penn State, because I mean the guy, it's not like he did bad. I think it's one of the more unique firings because his tenure at Penn State, he was 104-45. I mean, he went to the Final Four last year. He had 6 double-digit win seasons. I don't know who you can replace. I mean, Rhule would be one where I think that the people would get behind him. Casey Keeler, I think he's too old. I don't think they would want Casey Keeler. I think Matt Rhule would be the one that makes the most sense. But I would be intrigued to see some of the other ones. I think you want to hire someone. Back to my point earlier on why Cignetti I don't think would work is they'd probably have to wait until January. They would not know, and that is putting yourself. What happens if you whiff? Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. I would be surprised at either of them. Alex Galesh is one that I would consider. I believe he grew up not far in Ohio. That one, I do think they would probably interview Alex Galesh for the South Florida Bulls head coach. Maybe that's too big of a jump. Maybe you would think you would get a different Power 5 first, but I think that would be in consideration. But once again, you run into a situation where what happens if South Florida makes the playoffs? This is a new thing. Obviously you guys know that, but this playoffs is, potentially not going to wrap up until, what was it, January 23rd or something last month or last year. Brian Hartline would be interesting, but I think to me, Biff Poggi at Penn State. Yeah, let's go. I would just assume Matt Rhule. I put together a little list here. So I had at number 1 Matt Rhule, number 2 Al Golden, number 3 Fran Brown. Makes a lot of sense. The problem is I don't know if you can impress the boosters. Fran Brown and Syracuse. You got a 1-year sample size, and I think they're going to be pretty shitty this year because they're starting quarterbacks out for the year. So is that big of a splash hire when you hire a guy who goes 3-9 with Syracuse? I don't know. Now, Brent Key was one I put down here that I think could be intriguing. Now, Brent Key's at his alma mater, Georgia Tech, and I got the feeling from talking to Brent Key at ACC Media Days that he truly does love his job. He is. I mean, he played at Georgia Tech, so you'd have to get him away from that. But money can change people, and maybe that would be the angle. Brent Key would be one that I think would be possible. I'm not going to say he might say fuck off. I'm a yellow jacket through and through, but yeah, I'm with GBO Farms here. Shout out to GBO. They're going to want a splash hire. So who's your splash hire? I mean, Lane Kiffin is one that I actually think. Now that you bring that up, I mean, I'd be a little surprised that Penn State hired him because of like Penn State style. That would be a splash hire. The other splash hires would be what? Saban, Urban Meyer, sure. Cignetti, sure. I don't think they'll wait that long for Cignetti. So you'd have to have Indiana miss the playoffs, which I don't think is likely. Matt Rhule, I think it's likely. I think it's likely, even though the schedule's soft and there's a path to 9-3. On my list, I also put Manny Diaz. I think that's a path that's one that could actually happen because of the situation there. Where I don't know that Duke plays for the ACC championship. I know they're undefeated and they have a huge game against Georgia Tech coming up. Him and Brent Key going at it this upcoming Saturday. That is one though where I feel like it is possible that could happen. But I kind of think they want to stray away from the Franklin path, and that's what Manny Diaz would be. Clark Lee, I would be shocked if it was Clark Lee. Because I don't think they would go for another Vandy guy, and I think you're looking at a 1-year sample size or 2-year sample size of this. It's kind of deja vu. Now this one is intriguing. Randy K. Dan Mullen, I believe, is from Pennsylvania, if memory serves me correct. Dan Mullen is one that I actually, especially if UNLV could win 10 games or something. Yeah, he grew up in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. So went to college in Pennsylvania. Mike Elko is one that he played at Penn. Look, if Mike Elko leaves A&M, I'd be shocked with the amount of money they have. So I don't see that one. The Mullen one I could see, but I don't know if that's sexy enough based on what happened at Florida. They're talking Satterfield to no, that would not happen to Penn State. Yeah, Clark's also a Vandy alum, just like Brent Key. But I could see Brent Key. That one I'll give a solid percentage chance to. But that's the thing that's interesting about this is like, let me ask you guys: could Brian Kelly potentially, and would that be a splash hire? Because I feel like with Brian Kelly, he's kind of like James Franklin, where they've struggled to win big games, but he puts together a winning record. But at the big game level, they've kind of been zeros. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the other names I put deeper on the list there was Matt Campbell. This one I actually think could happen. Matt Campbell is an Ohio guy through and through, but he also played at Pitt. And I know he was at Mount Union, but Matt Campbell would actually, that is one I think is possible. Yeah, he played at Pitt just a year or two before transferring to Mount Union. That is one though that I could see. Okay, then I think that would be one where the people get behind it and say, okay, the guy did an unbelievable job at Iowa State. So Matt Campbell would be one that I think could be an option. But yeah, I'd say that's pretty much my list right there. I mean, I guess you got to throw Schiano on the list, but I don't think any Penn State fan wants Greg Schiano coaching Penn State based off of Rutgers recently. But that would be the list. Now for James Franklin, why this is why like you have to do the emergency episode is the amount of money that Penn State has. They can go get a lot of sitting head coaches. So like no one's safe, you know. Chat's asking about Marcus Freeman. Notre Dame has fuck you money. They also have great recruiting classes coming in. Never graduate talking about Will Stein, the OC at Oregon. Yeah, I mean that one you wouldn't rule out. Surprised they didn't let Kotelnicki be the interim head coach to give him a flyer on being a head coach. But I would say, to me, I would put rule number one. Rule number one, just because Penn State, they went off the reservation to get Franklin. I feel like they probably want one of their own, and Matt Rhule is one of their own. But also, I think the whole coaching thing, like how do you lock down a coach that's going to be in the any coach that's in the playoffs isn't going to really talk until after the season. So then you're gambling. You know, Lane Kiffin might be in the playoffs. I think Cignetti will be in the playoffs. Alex Galesh could be in the playoffs. Even Matt Campbell right now, even though it doesn't look great, there's a chance you could be in the playoffs. It's the Big 12. Manny Diaz is one. But I would assume they want to get away from the Franklin era and try to go with somebody else. But as far as for Franklin, though, is he someone that will get back into coaching right away? Because if so, I mean, you got to think what Arkansas and Virginia Tech are already open. I mean, if you're Virginia Tech now, how the fuck do you not call James Franklin? Right? I mean, how would you not call James Franklin? I'll be honest. Did you see the Maryland crowd this past week? I mean, that shit was pathetic. If Loxley loses out, which I kind of think they will, I mean, James Franklin was once the sitting head coach, the coach in waiting at Maryland. He was there for what, 6 years in his career, 7 years in his career. That is one I would not rule out. But you would have to have Loxley, and I don't know. Loxley starting off 4-0 might have bought him enough time to stay for another year. But yeah, I would assume someone could get a steal by getting James Franklin as a head coach. But maybe he takes a year off. It's probably good to sit back. You're rich as fuck. Make Penn State pay for all that. But yeah, I mean, it's just so huge because of what could come down the pipeline, who they could steal potentially from major schools. I mean, could they go for Lance Leipold? You almost, if you're a Kansas fan, you're almost hoping that you go like 5-7 this year. So Leipold's not as attractive as a name, or you know, I don't know. So there's a slew of coaches I think you could sit there. Kenny Dillingham, could they make a big offer to Kenny Dillingham? He's at his school, you know, that he grew up with, Arizona State, that he started with, that he went to college with. But man, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. Now that's just one hire firing that happened today. There was 3. Before, what about John Summerall? Someone said this in the chat, or John Gruden. I mean, if they're dumb enough to go for Gruden, God bless them, because the NFL track record is ridiculous. In college football, they've all been terrible for the most part. Summerall is an interesting one because he played at Kentucky. It's not that far away. Summerall one's a little bit interesting. That one might actually, but once again, they're going to be playing potentially for the playoffs, so you'd have to wait until after the season there. I'm assuming Summerall's going to go to Kentucky. But yeah, James Franklin at Kentucky would kill it, actually. JT Lamb. I think that would be like a fucking great hire. Chip Kelly to Penn State. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'll tell you that. Look, folks, before we get to the next one, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football, and everything else. Their prop builder second to none. Their motto is bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. You can easily deposit your lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head on over to MyBookie.ag, and when you do, use our promo code TCESGPN for 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market, and Novig, with Novig, you're getting the best prices. It's because it's an exchange. Novig's available in 35 different states. Download the Novig app, get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code TCE. I'm sorry, the promo code is SGPN, just SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. All right. So James Franklin canned at Penn State. So you got what? Virginia Tech's open. That's. I was wondering what people would think. How would you power rank all of the openings right now? Why am I drawing a blank on the second opening? Virginia Tech, and why am I just all of a sudden brain dead? Oh, Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, open gigs. Penn State added to that list. And now you got the Oregon State Beavers with Trent Bray, who was 5-14. We kind of predicted this one on the reaction show. Now, I personally think Trent Bray, I don't even know if he's a bad coach. I mean, 5-14 is 5-14. But you walked into such an interesting, terrible time. I don't know what coach could have won during that tenure. So in 23, Trent Bray, by the way, had done a really good job as defensive coordinator of Oregon State in 2022 and 2023. He'd been with the program, played for Oregon State. But when Jonathan Smith left for Michigan State, he took a lot of the staff and a lot of the roster. And some of the roster graduated. I mean, actually, some of the roster went all over the place because DJU went to Florida State. Childs went to Michigan State. Their best tight end went to Michigan State. Guys on the O-line went to Michigan State. A lot of the coaching staff, I know two or three of their best defensive players ended up at USC. I think one of them went to Miami. There was not much left on the team. So they didn't have a conference in 24. So it was tough. They went 5-7 in year one. But they did have, like 2 or 3 one-score games last year. So I kind of thought like he did a decent job considering. This year's 0-7. And I mean, they were in the Fresno game. They were in the Houston game. They were in the Appalachian State game. They could easily be a 3-1 team right now. I just don't know who would have won at the situation. Now they whiffed. They spent him a lot of money on Malik Murphy. I don't think that was a good decision. Rob Akey is their interim head coach. This is a guy that has been around. I will say he's like 60. I feel like been around. He was at Washington State back in the day with Bill Doba. I don't know who could have really won in this scenario. I'll say this though. On these very airwaves, 2 years ago, when Jonathan Smith left to Michigan State, I said the first thing Oregon State should do is call Bronco Mendenhall because he played defensive back for them. He was currently at home doing nothing, and he ended up taking the New Mexico gig. I think they even had Mendenhall as a possibility. I don't know if they interviewed him or not, but a lot of people had him as like one of the top names. But they went with Bray over Mendenhall, which I thought was a mistake because Mendenhall is such a good coach. And now, I feel like the first thing people are going to say is Bronco Mendenhall because he played defensive back with him. But I don't think Mendenhall, after talking to Mendenhall at Mountain West Media Days, I think he's content. He's in the town he grew up in or right next to it. His kids are in school there at Utah State. I don't think he would leave. I don't think he would leave now. I think that ship has sailed. So for Oregon State, yeah, GBO Farm saying maybe they could bring Jonathan Smith back. I mean, he's an alum too. It's worth the phone call, but I don't think that would happen. I don't think it would happen. I think Jonathan Smith's going to be at Michigan State for another year. To me, I put together a short list. Obviously, you call Mendenhall to check, and you call Jonathan Smith to check, but Jason Eck is one that isn't appealing to me because here's the thing. If Wisconsin does not go for Jason Eck, I think Oregon State could potentially get him because he's familiar with the Pacific Northwest. He's coached at, he was very successful at Idaho. He was also, I believe, on the staff at Montana State before that. Jason Eck would be, I think, like a home run get for Oregon State if he were to take it. Ryan Grubb is an interesting one that I was thinking about. Ryan Grubb, the current Alabama offensive coordinator, was with the Seattle Seahawks last year, and before that was with the Washington Huskies, and before that was at Fresno State. That is one that I would be intrigued by. Ryan Grubb. Would he take it, though? Because if you're Ryan Grubb, you're thinking, man, if I'm Alabama's offensive coordinator, I could probably get, I don't know. It's an interesting one because DeBoer got the Fresno job. So maybe he compares it to like, hey, DeBoer got the Fresno job. Look at him now. That could be me at Oregon State in the new Pac-12. But I could also see a world, but with him saying, if I just wait a year or two, I could be, at a bigger school. But Ryan Grubb, I put is pretty high on my list. Ben Arbuckle was one I thought about too. That might make sense, but one that I thought would make a lot of sense would be Jim Mora at UConn. Now, Jim Mora, I'm sure it's not I think Oregon State has a problem right now. Their identity, they're going to the Pac-12, right? They've been like, I think everyone feels sorry for them in a way. And I just don't know if certain coaches will take it. I think you almost have to look for a retread. Well, Jim Mora has been pretty good at UConn. They're 4-2 right now, coming off a 9-win season. Took them bowling, twice in his previous 3 years, which UConn was terrible before that. And you look at what he did at UCLA, he was 46-30, but he's also spent time in the Pacific Northwest. He knows it. He played defensive back at Washington back in the 80s. He also coached with the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously when he was at UCLA in the conference. That's an intriguing one to me where I think maybe that could actually be one where it actually would work out. Like, I think he could actually really do a good job there. I don't think like Mike Riley helped out. I think he's like 75 or something. I know he consulted in like 2018, the 2-time Oregon State Beaver head coach. Maybe they consult with him again, but Jim Mora was the one that stood out to me as one that could actually work. Ryan Grubb as well. There's Brent Vigen, the Montana State head coach. He turned down Washington State recently, so I'm assuming he would turn down Oregon State. Brennan Marion's an interesting one at Sac State. That's an interesting one because I feel like if Sac State doesn't get to the FBS, he might be willing to jump. I'm going to throw out another one out there though. Jeff Monken at Army. I think Oregon State can offer more money than Army. I think that most people would agree. Jeff Monken, he runs the option, and I don't know that he would run the option at Oregon State, even though that would probably be one of the smartest things Oregon State could do right now. But he hasn't been on the West Coast in a long time. But he started his career coaching at Hawaii and Arizona State, so maybe you can entice him. But I don't even know if he's on their radar. But I think Jeff Monken would be one I would at least interview. I know West Virginia interviewed him a season ago. Remember his cousin Todd Monken, the former Georgia offensive coordinator, when they won the Natty. I mean, shit, might as well call it him too. But that was my list. I know Tim Plow, the UC Davis head coach, some would consider. Bryan Harsin is another one. I mean, honestly, Rolovich would make sense, but they're not going to do that because Oregon doesn't. After he did that, I don't think so. I think Harsin though would be another one maybe to consider, the current offensive coordinator for Cal. And then how about this? If UCLA does great, but they go with Jerry Neuheisel or they go and hire somebody else, does Tim Skipper appeal to Oregon State? And why wouldn't he? It's the guy that took Fresno State to a bowl game. I know they weren't as good as we thought they would be, but kind of got dealt that hand on the fly, late July, early August. Been very impressive at UCLA thus far. Yeah, I think that would be worth the call. I mean, Rolovich makes a ton of sense, but I don't know that Oregon would do that with his. Remember, he was anti-vaxxing. I don't know that, but Rolovich, I think, is a hell of a good coach. I think UAB should consider him. Yeah, Harsin would work. Remember, Harsin was at Boise for so long. But yeah, Oregon State. I think the tough thing is, I don't know that he was that bad of a coach. I think he got dealt an incredibly difficult scenario. And I understand that no one came to your game the other day, and that was a passionate fan base and has been really throughout my life. So you don't want to lose that. So maybe you have to do that then. You're entering the Pac-12 next year, a new conference. Even though you're in the Pac-2 or whatever, I think maybe that's the logic, is keeping momentum. So in that regard, I guess I get it. But yeah, if they had just gone Mendenhall 2 years ago, I think they'd be sitting here winning 9-10 games. But yeah, I think that was a tough situation. Hopefully he lands somewhere. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. All right, look, before we get to the third one, the third firing of the day, I want to let you know that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is also a great place to play fantasy pick'em, where you can win up to 500 times the amount of money you enter. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats. And look, Underdog's got they got it available for a ton of different sports, and they got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is crushing it in college football and NFL with their picks and props. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model that you build, and you could win $1,000. All right. Use the promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app. That's RITHMM for 25% off your first month. So what are you doing? Download Rhythm. Promo code SGPN25. I mean, Will Stein to Oregon State. No, I couldn't see him doing that one. GBO Farm saying, will Tony Elliott get a chance to upgrade his job? I don't think in 1 year. But yeah, for Oregon State, call Mendenhall, call Smith just to double check. Wouldn't it be funny as shit if they got Mike Gundy? They won't do that, but it would be fucking awesome. He's still in the orange and black, but now he's at Oregon State. I mean, come on, that would be fucking awesome. But yeah, my list: Jason Eck, home run; Ryan Grubb, probably a home run; Jim Mora, home run; Jeff Monken, home run; Will Stein, if he's interested, you call him, interview him; Tim Skipper. So the problem is they're going to want to get a leg up on this shit. I mean, Ben Arbuckle was an interesting one too. I think he might take it because he was at Washington State over the past couple of years. That would be intriguing. Ben Arbuckle. All right. Third and final firing of the day, as far as I know, is one that should have never happened. I don't think the others, I can't say the same about Bray or Franklin. Trent Dilfer is fired from UAB. He was never a college football coach before. Ever a college football coach before. So when they hired him, it was completely out of left field. And he went 9-21 at UAB, which was terrible. And the way they got beat in their games also probably even worse than the actual record. Oh man. I mean, this one they shit the bed so bad because they had Bill Clark, who had done such great things with the program. In reviving it, staying through the dark years. To refresh people, UAB's program went away in 2014. They ditched it, even though they made a bowl that year, right? And Bill Clark fought for it. They fired their, I can't remember if it was, I think it was their school president. They brought it back by 17. Bill Clark was working that entire time with them. They come back. They win 8 wins, or they get 8 wins out the gate. 11 wins in 2018. 2019, 9 wins. 2026 and 3. They're playing for the conference championship all these years, by the way. Then 2021, they go 9-4, beat BYU in the bowl game. But Bill Clark had some health issues, so he turned it over to his offensive coordinator, Bryant Vincent, who went 7-6 and won a bowl game. And we kind of all thought he was going to be just the coach moving forward. Well, no, they didn't retain Vincent. They hired Trent Dilfer, and UAB's program has been shit ever since. Bryant Vincent is one, first off, that Bill Clark might be healthier now. I'm not sure, but I would imagine if you're looking to hire, you might want to call him. Bryant Vincent has done a very good job at ULM. He was 5-7 at ULM last season, and I think, and they beat the shit out of UAB too. That was way better than anyone thought. And right now he has them 3-3, and they could be a bowl team this year. So that is one. I don't know how that relationship ended, if they were super bitter or what, but that is one that would be appealing. UAB has more money than the Sun Belt teams. So, really probably than a lot of the short of maybe Liberty and some of the other AAC schools, or maybe a few Mountain West schools. They should be able to get it, and they have a brand new stadium, so somewhat of a brand new stadium here. So they should be able to attract somebody. I would think Bill Clark and Bryant Vincent should be considered because there's a winning track record there. Also, who should be considered in my mind, I really love my list that I put together here. Skip Holtz, I believe he lives in Birmingham. He's been with the Birmingham Stallions, so people in Birmingham familiar with him. And I think he would absolutely kill it at UAB. I think they would be very good moving forward. Those 3 would be right at the top of my list. Also, before I even call Neil Brown's on my list because he was very successful at Troy, and he didn't do a terrible job at West Virginia. So Neil Brown should be considered. But I think the one that would be flying under the radar would be Drew Cronick. Yes, great name, Drew fucking Cronick. If you're familiar with Drew Cronick, he is he's a former Georgia Bulldog wideout in the 90s when they had Hines Ward and stuff. But he was at Mercer as a head coach, did very well, 28-17, made the playoffs his final year at Mercer, and then he left for the Navy offensive coordinating position. So he's Navy's OC, and they've been awesome since he's been there. Prior to Mercer, he was 25-3 at Lenoir-Rhyne. He was also 22-3 at Reinhardt. He has coached at a lot of schools in the South. Obviously, he's from Georgia. Coached at West Georgia. Coached at Furman. Lenoir, obviously the school, also JMU. He was there when Patty C ate the burrito. So that would be one that I think would be flying under the radar. That would make a lot of fucking sense. I'm going to throw out one more. So when I was at ACC Media Days in Charlotte for football back in July, I was talking to the people from Wake Forest, the beat writers, and they said they expect Dave Clawson to be coaching football again next year. I don't know that this is a downgrade, but Clawson seems to be, this would be a downgrade. You're going from a power school to an AAC school, but I just was racking my brain on where the fuck Dave Clawson could end up. I don't think Virginia Tech would want him. I could see UVA wanting him, but I think Tony Elliott has pretty much solidified that he'll be back in Charlottesville. So Dave Clawson, if that's accurate from what I was told at ACC Media Days, that he will want to get back into coaching. Where the hell would he end up? Because he's such a good coach. You would think some people would come calling, especially like I know he's not known for his recruiting. He likes to build them in-house, but I just think there's a lot of schools that would be better off with Dave Clawson as their head coach than a lot of other schools. If you're UAB, why would you not at least entertain the thought of that? Dave Clawson did a fantastic job really everywhere he's been. So that's one that I would throw out there as well. Chat saying Ed Orgeron, that'd be fun. We need him back in the sport. Someone's got to do us a solid. I was always thinking all along, Coastal Carolina's hiring Biff Poggi or Ed Orgeron, or Arkansas State would hire Orgeron, or Louisiana, or, if Vincent left for ULM for UAB, Ed Orgeron, make him the fucking athletic director too. Let's go. Keith saying, would Tyson Helton leave Western Kentucky for this job? Is it an upgrade? Yes, it is. It's a lot more money, and I think it's an easier place to recruit. And it's a brand new stadium. I think he would, and that's a good name to put on that list. By the way, Tyson Helton would be an interesting name to put on that list. This one is to me the most intriguing one, because you can come up with a bunch of different names. I was sitting there thinking Kerwin Bell, the head coach of Western Carolina. His son is the OC of Pitt. Kerwin Bell would fucking score a lot of points at UAB. I even think what Biff Poggi should be considered. I don't think he did. What about Dana Holgerson? I can see UAB going for Dana Holgerson. You look at Dana Holgerson's career. I know he got canned from Houston, but it wasn't a terrible. I was doing a deep dive a couple weeks back on Holgerson. The guy went 61-41 at West Virginia. Only had one losing season at West Virginia, right? Then at Houston, okay, comes in. He redshirted everyone in the first year at Houston. A lot of their starters. Well, 4-8. Okay, shitty year at Houston. Then COVID happens. They're 3-5. They're not good. But then he goes 12-2 with a win over Auburn, by the way. Then he goes 8-5. And then 4-8, they fire him. I think a school like UAB with Dana Holgerson, I think they'd be a bowl team. And Ryan, okay, now we're really talking, Ryan. Paul Simmons from Harding, bringing back the complete option plan would be the best hire they could fucking do. That would be the best fucking hire they could do. That would be the absolute. Let's go. Yeah. Clay Helton. What if they hire the Helton brothers? Paul Simmons from Harding would be a fucking smash play. If Arkansas State does not do that, they're morons. Honestly, if the Razorbacks don't do that, they're morons, because he is nasty. He's one of the best coaches. I almost get the feeling he doesn't want to leave, but you feel like UAB offered him a big bag of cash. That would be enough. But I had Holgerson deep on the list. I even thought Jerry Mack or something from Kennesaw. Could they just outpay Kennesaw so much he would leave? He's been so impressive. What about Tim Beck, Vanderbilt's offensive coordinator? I think UAB would thrive at UAB. I also had Garrett Riley potentially. I know Clemson's offense has been asked, but I still think that he's a hot name in the industry that it might make sense. Even Kendall Briles, I think, potentially. But yeah, what about Jason Beck? I don't think he'd be. That's another one for Oregon State, actually. Jason Beck, offensive coordinator of Utah. He's a West Coast guy. Played at BYU. I think he's from Southern California. I could see that happening. But yeah, Dilfer. So hold on. I want to see if I can power rank this. We got Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Oregon State, Penn State, UAB. I think it's pretty easy, right? Penn State's the best gig. The second best gig out of those three, I think it's probably maybe Virginia Tech with the amount of money they're throwing in. I was going to say Oklahoma State. I think Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State are kind of neck and neck, and fourth would be Oregon State, and then obviously fifth would be UAB. But it's going to be fun to watch, I imagine. So what are we at? 5 already, huh? 5 just like that. We'll see what happens. Because I suspect right now what Mike Norvell, Luke Fickell, They got another week at least. They got another week or two. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, there'll be some other coaching changes as well. We will have you updated here on the College Football Experience. Just had to try to hit up Mac to do this. He's pissed drunk at a wedding. It's like, come on, what's more important here? Someone getting hitched or Trent Dilfer getting canned at Penetrobe Stadium there with UAB? Yeah, UCLA too. That's another gig. Oh yeah, I'm forgetting about UCLA. So if I had to power rank those, I'd go 1, Penn State. 2, let's just say Virginia Tech with their recent financial commitment and the fact that Boone Pickens is dead. So 2 Virginia Tech, 3 Oklahoma State, 4 UCLA, 5, and you could make a case UCLA. 4 UCLA, 5 Oregon State, 6 UAB. Shane Beamer to Penn State. That would be interesting. I don't know that he would be better than James Franklin though. Yeah. When is Sharon Moore getting fired? Well, I don't know. I think he'll be fine for this unless the like bottom falls out for this year. They got a young quarterback. Leipold to Wisconsin. That could happen. Well, let me ask you this: what happens if Rhule leaves for Penn State? Like I kind of suspect will happen, assuming they don't make the playoffs. Right? If Rhule leaves for Penn State and they don't make the playoffs, then Nebraska, who do they turn to? That's where it gets interesting. I saw someone in the chat saying PJ Fleck to Nebraska. If you're a Nebraska fan, are you even excited at that? You know? I don't know. I feel like that then it gets very, very interesting because Nebraska's in this weird spot with their identity. I feel like Leipold is from isn't he? He coached at Wisconsin, but he grew up in Nebraska, I think, if memory serves me correct. That makes it kind of interesting. If they had a bidding war for Lance Leipold between Wisconsin but Kansas just got a $300 million donation, folks. Did you guys catch that? The largest donation in the history of college athletics, and it was for their athletic department, but $300 million. If you're Leipold, why the fuck do you leave that right now? Right now, I know that this year's team was not super paid for, but now it is. Coming, $300 million moving forward. To me, they're like going to be Texas Tech 2.0. I think, honestly, if you told me to like rank the Big 12 jobs moving forward, assuming, majority of this money is going, because it was for their athletic department, I'm assuming it's going to football and basketball. That makes Kansas probably the second best gig in the Big 12. If they have that much money, I would say Texas Tech, you pencil in at 1. $300 million is fucking an insane amount of money for one donor. So I would assume Leipold just stays at Kansas based off that. Isn't it fun to watch? Everyone thought the Big 12 would be all shit. You got Cody Campbell outbuilding everybody. He's at A&M. They got a guy to flip from A&M to Texas Tech, and now Kansas is gonna have fuck you money too. It's funny how that works. Patty C was spot on with that shit. I think that in the long term, once you start winning, more money comes in. But yeah, damn. Joe's saying Cincinnati got $150 million football donation earlier this year. Yeah, I mean, this is the best part about. I love following college sports, especially like the best part about this era. As much as we can bitch about certain things with conference realignment and these dumb schools moving to like Maryland upset. There's only 15,000 people in their stadium. Yeah. Well, who the fuck? I grew up close to Maryland. Went to Maryland basketball camp. Never met someone from fucking Nebraska in my entire life growing up. All right. So you're not going to have animosity for Nebraska just randomly. But I am, it is interesting moving forward. Just watching the arms race, I find it a fascinating time in college sports where you're seeing just, all of this, you wonder, had Texas and Oklahoma not left, this kind of ignited this gigantic pissing contest. And it's fascinating to watch. It's always been there on lower levels. But I think the same way Duke's throwing in money to football in North Carolina as well, even though it's not working out for them. it's fascinating that that much money now. They're realizing that the writing's on the wall. You don't want to get left behind, and now you have just money coming in from everywhere, and it's fascinating to watch. UCLA, take notes, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with the Database Top 25 and also some of the weekday games previews. Because don't forget, on Tuesday we got 3 games, 2 CUSA games, and 1 Sunbelt game. As Arkansas State, that's a job I think will be opening very shortly as they travel to Mobile, although they are coming off a nice win. So maybe Butch can preserve it. That'd be a mistake by them, though. But yeah, we will have you covered tomorrow night with that. We also have a college basketball preview for the Big 12 tomorrow night. So yeah, buckle up. All right. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN and YouTube.com/The College Experience. Hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We appreciate you. Till next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot.